Hello, everyone. How are you all today? I hope everybody's great. Looking forward to today's forum on the distributed medical device, a game-changing architecture for medical devices. Hi, I'm Jeff Card, president of MDG Boston. MDG Boston is hosting IoT this afternoon for this presentation. MDG Boston is a 501c6 nonprofit volunteer-run organization, and all of our leadership are active in the medtech community. We're committed to continuously improving the MDG Boston experience for all and look forward to seeing you throughout the coming year. Our mission and value statements are very important. We promote and nurture an ecosystem that accelerates medical technology development by innovators and entrepreneurs to advance healthcare outcomes. We champion Boston as a world-class center for medical research, breakthrough medtech innovation, and product development and healthcare delivery. Now, you might ask, exactly how are we doing this? I'm going to share my screen for a moment here. Now, many of you, when you came to register for this presentation, came to our main page, MDG Boston, where we work on presenting all of our organization and community for everybody to come and learn. Some of the things that we provide to our community are a jobs page, very important to those organizations that are looking to hire talented people, either from the Boston MedTech area or anywhere within the United States. Our sponsors can place job offerings on this page and find awesome talent for the work that they have ahead. We provide an expert advice page, which has tens of folks involved that can provide instantaneous, outstanding advice on anything from technical to regulatory, how to enter into the United States market, institutional review boards, Intertech 60601 IEC testing, any other type of technical information you might be looking for. You can come to our website, go to the expert advice page, and meet people that can answer your questions. A very important part of what we do for the community is to provide mentorship. Right now, we have a number of folks and organizations that are working with MDG Boston community members to learn how to either break into the medtech industry, find a job within the medtech industry, or help get their company up and running within the medtech industry. So coming to MDG Boston, we have many resources for the individual to grow their organization or to grow themselves. So, now I got rid of that. All right. So I'd like to thank Bill Dennison, who is our production supervisor, who's running this show that keeps us running so smoothly and looking so good. Thank you, Bill. I'm not sure, but I think we're going to have some Survey Monkey links to work with. And now it's time to start our forum. Our speaker today is Itai Weissman, VP of Product at IoT. Previously, he was VP of Product at an Israeli NASDAQ-traded company, specializing in SaaS solutions for cyber analytics and communications. He's not just a pretty face, he's got a degree and a Bachelor of Science from Tel Aviv University, and is here today to present the distributed methodology. IoT specializes in providing a no-code medical grade and fully secure cloud-based platform for building distributed medical devices in record time. Instead of years, you can accomplish those things in just one day. Itai, so glad to have you here today to talk about what you do. Please take it away and have a great forum.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Nice to meet you all. Just go into presentation mode. Right. Second, obviously my PowerPoint crashed. One second, I have to restart my PowerPoint. Okay, so let's hope it works this time. Yeah, and we got it. Hi everybody, I'm Itai, and in this session we will discuss the approach of distributed medical devices, architecturing medical devices for the home care market. And during the session, whenever you want to ask any questions, we encourage you to send a question via chat. And as soon as we can, we will address it. And at the end, we will open the mic and we can have a session for free Q&A at the end. Okay.
I'm enthusiastic to be part of this webinar and to moderate it. And I will jump directly to my first question. So it looks like remote care is the future of medicine. Large sets of data monitoring and treatment capabilities that are now available only in clinics and hospitals will soon be available for home use. What new challenges do you think manufacturers will face in the world of home care?
So in the world of home care, one of the most important challenges is that there are going to be millions of patients and millions of homes and devices needs to get to all of them. That's a big challenge. One, the device cost needs to be very, very low. If you want to have charging schemes like pay-per-use or subscription schemes, you cannot afford to finance a $1,000 device or $2,000 device at the home. So that's one thing, the hardware cost needs to be very, very cheap. The second is that the device capabilities actually needs to be even better than what a professional device provides. Why? Because the user is not professional, so everything has to be done at the device level, and the amount of functionalities that you will have to have will continuously evolve. The second is the operational expense. When you're talking about millions of homes, you cannot afford something complex at the user side, because that will result in, for example, support call. A support call can cost $6 to $10 just for a single call. That might negate the entire profit from a device. The second is that how you manage hundreds of thousands, even a million, even 1 million devices at the home. Let's say that you want to introduce a new algorithm to the device. You need to make sure that this algorithm is available at a click immediately, not like an app update on your phone where you can issue an update to the Play Store, but it can take months until the entire subscriber base actually have it updated. With medical devices, if you have an algorithm that needs changing because maybe it was not as accurate as you think, or maybe you want to introduce new capabilities, it needs to be done automatically. So there are many aspects around device management that are not a concern for professional devices, but when you go to the home, you have to manage it. And the third and very important aspect is the evolution. You have a device at the home, but the capabilities needs to continuously evolve, and you need to disconnect this evolution from the cost of hardware, because the device will be at the home for years, and the evolution needs to be disconnected from that. So all of this basically creates a lot of challenges on how to create a device that can stay at the home for years, keep the cost of the device low, and the simplicity and flexibility at high levels. In addition to that, the use cases keep on expanding, and the device will have to continuously align with these expanding use cases. So you have use cases for the clinical, and they will expand throughout the device life cycle. They will start from the clinical trials where you will need remote patient monitoring and engagement in order to conduct distributed clinical trials. You will probably need to continuously adhere to safety and regulations, which means the device will need to continuously get updated, specifically if you want to add new capabilities to it. On the patient outcome, you have to follow up on what's effective and continuously do efficacy analysis and improve your algorithms, improve your outcomes. You have to keep touch of adherence, emergency management, and there will be a long list of other use cases that will be added as the years go by, and you are still with the same device at the home. And also from a market revenue, we see that the reimbursement schemes and the ability to create services around the device are key considerations. And this will also evolve all of the time. And you have to be able to provide it when you have a device that is relatively unchanging at the home level. You have a specific set of hardware with specific set of capabilities, but you will have to continuously grow the services around.
Thank you. It seems like connecting devices to the cloud is a given. More than a simple connection is needed to open the full possibilities of home care and to design devices for hospital at home usage. What evolution do medical devices need to undergo to make them best suitable for home care?
So obviously, from all of these challenges, we need to connect the device to the cloud and create some sort of connected care service around it. But that will not be enough. Today, many devices, the brains are at the device side. All of the algorithmics, all of the capabilities, they are at the device side. This will have to change because the same hardware with the same capabilities will be at the home for years. And you need to continuously evolving. So you have to move from the brains being at the device side to, and the device being a monolithic device that is only connecting to a cloud and is managed by the cloud, to a device that actually resides in the cloud. You only have a limited set of capabilities in the device, maybe sensors, all of the things that you need to do physically, but all of the device capability needs to sit in the cloud. And it's more than just the device capabilities as you see them today, like being able to detect a biomarker or another. But device capabilities also have to do with algorithmic on demand, clinical insight, and even connecting to other devices. You need to be able to take the algorithm from your device and maybe connect it to another algorithm that you have in another device and create a different insight out of it. And then there's a whole ecosystem that you need to connect to, that you have the obvious, your ecosystem, the EHR, the clinicians, but you might also need to connect to other device manufacturers and actually create a single device from two different devices from two different manufacturers. And on top of that, we're talking about, if you're looking at a visionary approach, you're looking at algorithmic providers that might take raw information from devices, and they will know how to translate ECG to a meaningful insight, and you will want to incorporate these algorithms into your offering. So all of that needs to be supported, and that basically means that the entire brains needs to be in the cloud, and you need to have a large set of capabilities that surrounds this brain in the cloud and allows it to continuously evolve. So let's move into the what are the roles that we see in such an architecture. So on the device side, the most important things it has to do is to interact with the patient body and to extract the raw data and share it with the cloud. This is something that is a must-have on the device side. But then you need to keep it open, and the cloud responsibility will then be to create all of the management and the clinical capabilities around this device and raw data. So we're talking about activation and authentication, about computing. The device will have to do the cloud will have to do compute on demand in order to analyze the signals that are coming from a device and create meaningful insights out of them. It has to do the store of the medical insight, but it also has to allow you to embed new workflows and new algorithms and create new workflows around this device according to whoever is using it. It needs to allow you to create personalized workflows. So maybe a patient A will use only algorithms 1 and 4 and will use a different set of parameters in these algorithms, where patient B will use a completely different set of algorithms because their conditions are not the same and the insight will be dependent on their conditions. So this is something that the cloud needs to allow you to create that kind of personalized architecture. And obviously, there's the cybersecurity aspect of the things, where if you keep the device simple, the entire responsibility of cybersecurity can be at the cloud level. You don't need to secure the device, you only need to secure the connectivity to the cloud, and that's it, and that's the responsibility of the cloud. And obviously, all of the collaboration with the ecosystem, which talks about code collaboration, where you can bring partners or you can bring partner codes into your workflows, data collaboration, and workflows like integrating to EHR.
So now when we understand what a distributed architecture is, what are the benefits of such architecture? Does it answer the challenges that you mentioned previously?
So there's a lot of benefits to this type of architecture. The one is that it allows you to improve the clinical outcome or include the patient-reported outcome. Why? Because it allows you to continuously introduce product innovations as soon as you have the data for the analysis, and you have short cycles that allows you to analyze this data, improve the product, create new algorithms, and automatically apply them. And obviously, it also allows you to collaborate more efficiently with partners and to have real-time information available for your clinicians and create better insights from them rather than just showing them raw data. The second thing is cost reduction. The edge device hardware can be kept to a minimum, so you reduce this cost. The operational costs are significantly reduced. For example, the cost of refurbishing. Let's say that some of your devices may be dead on arrival. This percentage drops significantly if the device itself, the end device, is simple. Being able to do troubleshooting and fault management is very easy when the edge device is simple, because all of your troubleshooting are on the cloud side. Makes it very straightforward. And the cost of securing the devices significantly reduced, because all of the know-how and all of the intelligence is at the cloud side, and this is secured through the cloud. The third is flexibility. the one very trivial thing is that the capabilities are not restricted by processing. You can have processing on demand whenever you want. The second is that the cloud, you only need to update once in order to create a new, a new capability. You update the cloud and this capability is automatically available for all devices in the field. So zero response time and very rapid updates. And the third is that you can create new charging models because the cost of the device is low, and because you can continue adding new capabilities, you can go into charging models like per use, subscription prices, paying per capabilities. You can open and close capabilities in the device, and you can create a really personalized charging scheme. And the last is that you can easily collaborate with partners without exposing your code. This type of architecture basically allows you to run partners' code on your data, or to run your code on your partner's data without exposing your IP. Another domain is the collaboration, which allows you to create cross-vendor workflows. So you can actually create a device that is creating insights in your cloud and then brings in code from another vendor and applies it on these insights. For example, you create an alarm, you send the alarm with the info to an EHR model that acts on it and sends you back the results after the doctor decide what to do. So you create complicated workflows, and you can improve the quality through collaboration with QMS. So, for example, if the cloud detects that you have an ongoing fault with the device, it can automatically advise the QMS that there is an issue, and it makes it very easy to detect new quality issues and to manage them automatically.
Before we continue, there is a very good question coming from the audience. The question is, when I see an Edge, I think of the Microsoft Edge web browser. What does it mean here?
Okay. When I'm talking about edge device, it means that the device that is sitting at the patient edge, meaning next to the patient. So the device is comprised out of two elements. One is the elements that is sitting next to the patient and is in charge of collecting the physical statistics from the patient. And the cloud is the part that is not sitting next to the patient, it's sitting remotely and is in charge of interpreting this physical characteristic and creating the insights from it.
Thank you. Now, when we consider building such a distributed architecture, what should device manufacturer consider? What challenges must be addressed to ensure that the architecture design will fulfill the stated needs?
Okay, so when you're going into such an architecture, it means it's quite a complex architecture in order to create the flexibility that is needed. So there's quite an extensive set of capabilities, basic services within this architecture that needs to be available in order to make it effective. So you have a whole set of data infrastructure like cybersecurity, connectivity, data management, and as such, you have workflow tools that allows you to create the actual clinical insights, the actual all of the workflow management, how your users are working with the device, the algorithmic introduction, device management. There are quite a lot of workflow tools that needs to be available. And you also obviously at the end of the day needs to create a user experience, so you need to have quite a lot of UX tools. You need to also keep in mind that this architecture needs to support continuous evolution of the data model. So every one of these services needs to allow you, without the intervention of R&D, to add and to extend the data model, to create flexibility with the workflow. Again, without the involvement of R&D, you need to be able to tailor any type of workload that you want. You need to be able to introduce new capability seamlessly, without downtime, without impacting the devices on the field, without risking the devices on the field stop working. And you need to make sure that cybersecurity and regulatory compliance are always kept, and that's an ongoing endeavor because they continuously evolve. If you want to create such a solution and take care of all of these aspects, this is years in the making in order to make it a field-ready system.
We got a lot of questions from the audience. It looks like the topic is creating a lot of interest, which is good. I will be happy to submit a few of the questions. Some of them are talking about the FDA. So if you combine devices and you look at this architecture, how it affects, what is the effect on the FDA regulatory submission?
Yeah. So today, every one of these devices, when you combine devices, for example, from two different vendors, then every one of these vendors go through the regulatory process separately, and you can combine the two to create a different, to create another insight, and that will not require a regulatory cycle, unless obviously some of these capabilities might require a regulatory cycle, which is quite easy, by the way, because every one of the devices is already very FDA approved. But if you are actually changing the treatment protocols or something of this nature, then you will need to go through the regulatory cycle, but there is a fast process around it. So you can actually today combine two devices, create two and create insights from them without having to regulate the overall system, just having the FDA approve them separately.
I have a few more questions, and they are very, very relevant. So I will give you just two more questions before we continue. As for GDPR, people are concerned as well about GDPR and how you manage the GDPR requirements.
So, as I mentioned, one of the aspects that you need to consider when you're going to such a solution is privacy. Privacy is GDPR and HIPAA compliance, and there's a large set of capabilities that are needed in order to manage privacy. And I'll touch on that later in the presentation. So, because I'm touching on that, let's wait until we get there.
And last one before we continue. You mentioned the opportunity to combine several medical devices and provide physicians and caregivers a wider picture and more insights or more accurate insights about patients. The audience is considered about, first of all, synchronization between those several devices, and how do you manage connecting and actually managing several devices? Do you use a single platform to connect them, or each one of them is in silo using his own database?
So first of all, the devices needs to be segregated. So it's not that they will not use a shared medium. The idea is to be able to share codes and algorithms between the device, but without sharing the actual platform. It's a bit complicated to explain without going into architecture, but the idea is that your workflow and insights are done in your platform, and then you either bring code from another system as a component that they will run on this insight, or you send this insight to another platform that will run their code on it and bring it back to your platform. The platform needs to be able to support both of these scenarios. And the more likely scenario is that you actually, the way that you build it is not by sending data from one device to another, but by bringing the code in. So imagine you have a device, it's running specific code, and then you're taking, somebody is creating like a kind of a library or a kind of an application. If you are taking this application and integrating it into your platform, just this application. And then you can basically use this application is representative of their device. That's the best way of doing it, but you need to do it both ways. And there are ways of doing it without the need to open the platform for foreign code. And that's one of the things that I will discuss as a key consideration on when you're designing such a platform.
Thank you. Now we can move on. So obviously the world is the world of tomorrow, and even the world of today is going to be data-driven. How do you see it happening in our context, of course?
Okay, so one of the things that in a world of data science that you need to allow is rapid evolution. Your data science team needs to be able to introduce capabilities without the usual, while avoiding the usual choke points on the R&D sides that are a main inhibitor today. So basically, if you are an R&D team, then your product team and your data science team are your internal customers. And if you want to continuously evolve and continuously build capabilities that are data-driven, you need to allow these teams to add these capabilities, to add these algorithms, to add workflows, to allow them to define what the end user of the system needs, and to introduce these capabilities without relying on your capabilities as an R&D team. And for that, such a platform, in order to be effective, it needs to incorporate no-code capabilities and remove this dependency on R&D and transfer it to be the responsibility of your implementers that can change it on need. And that's a key consideration if you want to expedite the way the time to product of every new capability that you have.
So before we continue, we will check again if the audience is still with us. Would you like to share with them a question they will answer? Everyone, if you can help and answer our questions, it will help us to give you more inputs and direct the webinar into the areas that will address your needs and and points of interest.
Karen, it looks like the second question was on here as well, instead of separated.
It's okay, no worries. They can answer both of them. That way we will not need to bother them again and again. So Itai, you mentioned the need for continuous evolution of capabilities and ever-evolving workflows. I would like to dive a little bit deeper here. What should be considered when designing for flexibility?
So this, by the way, also goes to the question from the audience on how to connect devices. So the idea in such a system is that you need to be able to create workflows, which are basically different services that are connected to one another and how you connect them. And you need to be able to introduce, without the need to involve R&D, you need to be able to introduce new algorithms and new capabilities into this workflow. So for example, if you're looking at a workflow that has patient historical data, you have a service that is collecting this historical data, and then you want to plug in an algorithm. It can be your own algorithm that you just change and you want to plug it into this workflow, or it can be an algorithm of another device, which is basically a service of another device. And then you want to create, to connect that to the clinician visualization. And the idea is that you need to do it dynamically. You need to be able to define these workflows, how the data flows and how the user is using the system any way you want. And you need to be able to change it dynamically at all of the time without changing your code. And you need to, one of the things, the main things is about bringing the code to the data rather than bringing the data to the code. So instead of sending enormous amount of data to someone else, getting a result, sending data back, this is an inefficient way of doing things. The way to do it, especially with devices that needs real-time analysis, is to take this an algorithm that can be proprietary to you or to your partner and plug it into the workflow, and being able to do that without writing code, without creating a new code for it. You need to allow the algorithmic teams to focus on the algorithms, not on developing cloud mechanisms that allow them to implement this algorithm. And if you are doing that, you're basically introducing code into your system, somebody else's code, you're introducing them into your system. So you need to take care of cybersecurity and compliance. You need to isolate these algorithms so they will not impact your system. And this is regardless of whether these algorithms are provided by your algorithmic team or by somebody else's. You need to isolate them, and you need to make sure that they are access controlled. So in order to reach true flexibility and allow yourself to introduce new capabilities to the device, capabilities are basically any type of algorithm, you need to be able to do that rapidly. You need to be able to introduce it without changing your platform code, and you need to be able to introduce it to anywhere in your workflow.
Sounds interesting and complicated at the same time. So it seems seamless updates are some of the key consideration. How is it different from FOTA, and why is it a challenge?
So another thing to consider when you're looking at a system that needs to support millions of homes is what I mentioned before. How do you update capabilities? So one way of updating capabilities is actually updating the device software itself. This is a lengthy process. You cannot update 1 million devices in 1 second, even if you issue a new update and they do it automatically. You cannot control when they're doing it, how they're doing it. It's also it's a very complicated process. If you made any change, then doing a rollback is extremely complicated. So this is a mechanism that you need to support, but this is not a real-time mechanism, and this is not something that allows you for very, very fast and instant update of all devices in the field. Instead of updating the device firmware, you can update the cloud firmware, and then you update in one location. You immediately update, basically just the one location immediately updates the capabilities of all devices in the field. There's no patient intervention required at all. And there's definitely a reduction of retrofits, refurbishing, and other scenarios that can happen when you update FOTA. One of the main challenges when doing it is how do you do that seamlessly? How do you do it and save yourself the resources in order to do so? So when you're looking at a platform that is enabling it, then the users of the platform need to be able to introduce this new code without understanding cloud, without DevOps, and without a complicated cloud qualification process. You just need to qualify the specific code that you introduce. And this is something that you need to take into account.
So before we continue, it looks like this topic again creates a lot of interest from our audience. And they are talking about considerations of FDA when going to firmware update. It's not actually a firmware update, but a software update in the cloud rather than on the edge device. What are the considerations as per the FDA? The FDA, sorry.
So for the FDA, when you are updating an algorithm, you need to create a registration with the FDA, but you don't go through the entire qualification process again. It is just a record that you need to update, and it's part of the QMS process, and it doesn't go through the entire cycle of FDA approval again.
Thank you very much. We are all, of course, worried about security, cloud security. So are there any specific considerations for cloud security?
So there are several. It's for security and privacy, and this brings me to the privacy question that was raised before. So one of the key things that just a system needs to do is to protect the personal identification information, the personal health information. And this is something that needs to be done by mechanisms like attribute-based access control, which is basically a fancy name of saying what type of attributes of the patient different users of the system can see. So a clinician, for example, can only see patients that he is managing or patients in his department. And the system admin, like a clinic admin, for example, he is not allowed to see any personal health information, but he is allowed to see PII information. So all of these things needs to be considered and needs to be managed, and there should be mechanisms that allow you as a user to define them on the fly. What is PII? What is PHI? Who can access what in the system? And not only that, you also need to make sure that, for example, auditing and logging are done in a way that secures PII and PHI, that there's no way of leak for PHI to leak. because of incorrect storing facilities or use of the PHI. And this is just for privacy. If you're talking about security, then obviously it's such a system is a very delicate system. And it means that the security architecture needs to be thought of from the design stage. It's not a security as an afterthought. Let's build the system, and then let's build security mechanisms that protect it. It will never work, definitely not with system that needs to incorporate and introduce new code. So you have to from the design phase, you have to think about how to segregate services, how to do authorization, how to manage access controls, how to manage data. All of these capabilities needs to be there from the design. And on top of the generic capabilities that the system provides, you need to keep in mind that security threats keep on evolving, security regulation keep on evolving, and you need to subject the system to continuous vulnerability assessment and continuous security improvement, both in terms of code and in terms of practices.
Indeed, sounds like it is not simple at all. Let's assume I'm a medical device manufacturer who wants to build such a solution independently. What are the main challenges I will face?
So, as some of the audience mentioned, there's quite a lot of consideration around compliance and regulation. Even if you are if you have top of the line expertise in cloud, in whatever, in all of the technical capabilities needed, it's still the amount of effort that needs to go into privacy and cybersecurity to get to an initial product is very high, and to continuously support it and continuously evolve with it is very high. The second is the future-proofing. The design for flexibility. So you can always create a point solution that allows you to run your algorithm on data coming from the device. But what will happen when you need to change it? You need to get to R&D, you need to create a completely different workflow. It means that you will have a very long time to product when you need to introduce a new capability. So the system needs to be flexible enough to allow you to do these things on the fly. And then this calls for quite a heavy lifting in terms of designing. There's obviously a lot of cloud know-how that needs to be in place. So you will need to develop all of these competencies internally, and these are very high maintenance competencies. And there is a lot of know-how around integration with the ecosystem that continuously evolve, and you will need to address that as well.
Well, you were talking about so many challenges like design consideration and security consideration and flexibility and updates and regulation and compliance and ecosystem and know-how. This is indeed amazing, and I am really happy that there is a platform that already did it for us. So it seems like using such a platform for building a medical device could help to reduce those challenges and streamline the process. Can you walk us through how can BioT platform helps manufacturers to meet those challenges?
So BioT is basically a no-code platform that is aimed to allow you as device manufacturer to create connected medical devices. And all of this architecture that I discussed previously, these are things that are coming out of the box with the BioT platform. So you have the ability to build your own data model, to build remote workflows, adjust them via a drag and drop interface. Just a few clicks, and you can ingest telemetry, imagery, waveforms, raw data, whatever you want, and create a complete workflow of clinical insights around it. You can, the system, the BioT platforms allow you to plug in your algorithms. So even though it's a no-code algorithm, it's a no-code system, you can still bring in your algorithm and plug it into every workflow that you define in the system. So if you want to get biomarkers from the device, look at historical data, create your own algorithm that discerns whether there was an exacerbation in the patient condition. You can plug it in, and the only thing you need to do is provide the algorithm. We provide with a complete envelope that incorporates this algorithm into the workflow, takes care of the algorithm security, takes care of privacy, and takes care of the entire workflow. You can tailor the clinician experience, how the clinician is working with the system. You can tailor as many workflows for the clinicians as you want, and you can create workflows per clinician persona or per clinician type with the system, again, without the need for code. Other than the clinician side, we also have a wide set of services that serve you as a medical device manufacturer that allows you to manage your devices and manage your organization, and that allows you to research the data in a de-identified manner. So the organization you work with, the clinics, they see the personal identity information of their patient, but you as a manufacturer get all of the clinical data, but anonymized. And you can act on it in the system. And basically, through this no-code approach, we can build a device in the cloud, allow you to build a device in the cloud and create a complete connected care solution, even within a time span that is as short as 1 day. We also make it easy for you to operate this deployment. We deploy in your premise, we deploy on your cloud. So all of the data is yours. But we are taking care of all of the cloud management and operations. So basically, you get the advantage of the data ownership, which is yours, it is in your domain, and it is compliant with regulatory, but you don't need to manage any type of cloud solution. And lastly, we save you quite a lot of time and cost around regulation and compliance. We are compliant to the US and EU regulation. We provide you with a full design history file. So if you need to go through FDA submission, you have all of the information out of the box in order to submit to the FDA. We are compliant to privacy regulation of HIPAA and GDPR. We provide you not only with the capabilities for cybersecurity, but all of the documentation needed in order to pass the compliance and regulation of FDA and EU, but also the compliance and regulation requirements of hospitals that you go to or clinics that you go to. And we are continuously updating this information in order to comply with the medtech quality and information security standards like MDS². So all of this effort that has both an initial time to product effort as well as ongoing effort is something that you don't really need to invest in.
Itai, we almost are running out of time, and there is a lot of enthusiastic from the audience to learn more about BioT and see a demo. I'm not sure we have a time for demo right now, but maybe you can start with the main takeaways from this session and let's see where we are standing with the time as for the demo.
By the way, for a demo, we'll be very happy to indulge anyone that wants a demo, and simply we will contact you and set a session for demo. It will take more than 2 minutes to show a demo. But as a takeaway, I think one of the key things to understand is that the distributed device architecture is the way to manage the home care world. It will be very hard to manage a continuously evolving world without a distributed architecture. And one of the key things that you need to consider when you're going to such an architecture is that it needs to allow flexibility to your internal customers. So it's not just running code in the cloud, but it's about having the ability to continuously update it and remove dependencies from R&D. So it means no code design. It means that there has to be a lot of services that can be configured out of the box. And it means that you need to be able to introduce new code into the system, your code into the system, but without the involvement of R&D. So algorithmic code is written by the algorithmic team, but does not need R&D or cloud operations in order to introduce this code. And then you can really bring such a distributed architecture to bear, and you can really take advantage of what it can possibly offer. So again, demos, will be more than happy to schedule demo sessions with anyone that is interested. And I think that we can open the floor for free Q&A if we have the time. So Bill, if you can open the mics for everyone.
Okay.
And we're
Well, I'd like to. This is the end of the official time. I'd like to thank Karen and Ty for this presentation. We will keep the meeting open for unmuted questions for a while. So have a Q&A for anybody who wants to ask a question.
quite a lot in the chat, but so
You can unmute yourself.
One question. This is Reza Sherkat from Wise IoT Solutions. I really like to see some demo. It is very good work. What is the trend going forward in the next few years? What are the main things you think it will happen?
I'm sorry, but I'm having a really hard time hearing you.
What is the trend going forward in the next few years?
The trend going forward in what aspect do you mean?
From evolving of this type of cloud-based medical device.
So first of all, I think that the trend is that we will see more and more devices that migrate the capabilities to the cloud. And to the extent,
you are now host.
Sorry. Okay. So we'll see more and more devices that are transferring these capabilities to the cloud. And if we are talking about what will happen a few years from now, then we even see a situation where you tailor personalized devices per patient in the cloud.
Have to go. Talk to you later.
Sorry, you said tailor what?
Tailor personalized devices per patient in the cloud. So for example, if you are a COPD patient, the device will take into consideration your current clinical situation and it will apply specific algorithms and specific sets of parameters that are tailored for you. So think about a doctor that can prescribe to a patient that is saying, okay, I want you to monitor your respiratory rate and I want to monitor all of these COPD related parameters, but I want to create, to understand when there is an exacerbation of this patient, and the device will automatically create a set of algorithmics and algorithm parameters that will allow it to do so for a specific patient.
Okay.
So we're not talking about general devices that measure that always measure the same things, but this type of thing can actually grow into a very, very personalized treatment.
Thank you.
Are we actually talking about coming close to a digital twin by the information you can gather in the cloud in the grand vision of it? Susie from Denmark,
Sorry,
thank you.
Again, I couldn't hear the question. Again.
Sorry, is it better now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So my question is just a question follow up to your answer. So in your grand vision of your solution, would you then be able to make a sort of digital twin of each patient so they have an individualized response for each of the devices of each of the companies that have the direct interaction with the patient? Would that be a sort of dream goal for you to get close to that?
Yeah, so basically, I think you touched exactly on the point of where we see the world eventually going. And this is basically think of the patient as an entity that has his own workflows in the cloud. It has dedicated workflows in the cloud that will be created on demand. Okay. And this workflow can involve one device, several devices, and every device can be built on the cloud and can be built with these patient parameters in mind. So this is how one of the ways that we see in our vision. Okay, it's not going to happen 1 or 2 years from now. But in our vision, such a platform, this is where it needs to be able to evolve. To create, a doctor will write a prescription not for a device, but for an algorithm or for something that he wants to detect at a patient, on a patient. And the cloud, based on these parameters that the doctor said he wants to detect, and based on the patient condition, will create the relevant device and the relevant workflow for it.
A follow-up question really quickly. Are you interested in being put in contact with innovators with new solution, new biometric readings and collaborating with them, or do you prefer to be in contact with more established companies?
We're open to any type of partnership that can advance, honestly, that can advance the field of of medical devices. And we consider every partnership on a per need basis, and where we are in our product cycle, and how this partnership can better the community, and obviously our needs.
Thank you so much.
If we put the email on the chat, are you able to contact us? I put my email in Wise IoT Solutions.
Of course. Karen, I'm guessing that you are taking care of it.
I'm on the chat, and everyone who left his questions and messages here and would like to get contact with us, we will contact you after the session. And you are also welcome to go in our website and fill in the contact form and we will be happy to talk with you.
Okay, everybody. So thank you very much for your time. And as Karen mentioned, anyone that wants additional info, we're more than happy to contact you or you contact us. And obviously, if you are interested in demos, we'll be very happy to provide. Thank you, guys.
We will be posting the recording on the MDG website. This is Bill Munger. So we'll post the recording both for people who were here and people who were not able to attend. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone, and goodbye.